First of all, I think it's only appropriate that we, or that I start with a big congratulations to Illinois volleyball and Chris and the incredible season that they had. What an unbelievable run. I know they're probably hurting a little bit after last night, but what an unbelievable season. And those runs are truly magical and shouldn't be nobody should ever take those special moments lightly. That's tribute to Chris and his girls. Yeah, it's been a good week. We've got a lot of things we've been able to work on, from adding a few things offensively, defensively, and then spent a good amount of time on late game situations and things that we probably hadn't spent enough time on to this point. But you mix that in around tests and kids studying, and it's probably been a challenging week for them mentally. It will get a little more difficult as we had a bunch of guys with finals today. But all in all, a good week, and we've got a great opponent coming in here in East Tennessee State. Steve has done a tremendous job at that school and building a program, an NCAA tournament team. I think they're picked 1 or 2 in their conference this year. And I've known Steve many, many years. We go way back to the early Kansas JUCO days when we were both cutting our teeth in this business. And he's had a great run there, and he's got another great team this year.
Brad, obviously they rebound really, really well. What's the focus to improve in that category for you guys after?
Well, it has been a focus. We've done probably 3 or 4 different segments in practice of each day this week of emphasizing the rebounding stuff. We've got to clean that area up, and we have spent a lot of time on it, so I hope we see some things better. They've got one of the elite rebounders in America in Rodriguez, averaging close to 13 a game, I think, and gets 4 offensive. But we've got to get more. We've got to get more rebounding from our front court guys. We need more rebounding from Kipper. We need more rebounding from Georgie. And that's got to those areas got to improve. I've been, for the most part, pretty pleased with our perimeter guys. A little inconsistent, but those guys we're going to have to be a team rebounding team, and we've emphasized that.
They have a tendency to turn the ball over a little bit, and you guys have forced quite a few turnovers. How important is that for you guys to come out and force those, and what's that do to a team?
Well, we're gonna play the way we play, and the fact that the Tisdale kid is a junior college All-American, he's a very, very good player, and they get he's acclimating to their system, but I think they're a unique team, and their 4s and their 5s are all capable. Rodriguez is very capable of handling the ball as well. I think both their bigs are very good passers. But yeah, we've got to be able to do what we do. We've got to stay consistent with that. We built in to practices this week. We've built in half times. So we've come off the practice court, we've gone into the locker room. We've watched film or scout and watched film and talked for 7, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we've come back out and finished the second half of practice. So we're trying to at least help address some of our second half where we haven't played as well. We haven't played it with as much intensity and get the motor revved back up. And so we spent a little time on that, but we've got to do what we do defensively and not get concerned about being crazy trying to turn them over. That's we've got to be solid in what we do.
Brad, did I see today's your birthday?
It is 35.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
First follow-up on that, practicing the halftime, is that something you've done before with teams? Have you seen that be effective?
I'm trying anything right now. I haven't done that. We do different things all the time. I don't know. I come up with some crazy ideas sometimes. We we have a segment we call Chaos, and we pump music in here as loud as we can and put guys in different positions and try to get the energy really high and make them run offense and execute. And we've done that this week. We've, like I said, we've created the halftime. We a lot of times we do handle timeouts. We have timeouts built into practice where we, make them listen and draw up a play and come out and execute. And then today was a day we've spent 35, 40 minutes just on late game situations, and we've got to learn to be more comfortable in those and carry those things over. So, we come up with a lot of different ways to do things, and we figured why not? It's something we needed to address.
And then the guy said there's been a lot of running this week. Is conditioning part of the focus here in the month of December with the space between games?
Yeah, there's no doubt, and I think that I think the one thing that happens, you get certain guys that play more minutes than others, and those guys that don't play a lot, it can slip easily. Secondly, that's the one side of it is the conditioning side. Secondly, is we want them to understand how to play and have to execute and do things through fatigue and through being tired. And so we amped that up quite a bit, and along with that, we're some emphasis on the rebounding side as well.
I know you don't put a lot of emphasis on who starts or who doesn't, but what has your bench been able to bring for you this season on both sides of the court when the starters maybe are not getting things going?
Well, we're getting I'm getting very accustomed with Dre coming off that I get stability. I get a stable piece that I know is very capable of scoring, and arguably he's one of our best perimeter defenders as well, and he makes very few mistakes. And then the other guys, we need consistency, and that starts with DeMonte, and DeMonte hasn't been at DeMonte that we've seen in the last couple. We need him to be dialed in, and I love what he can bring defensively and his anticipation and on the glass from the perimeter spot. And then you can kind of see we've had some musical chairs with Samba, with Adonis, trying to find the right piece up front. So we're looking for stability. We're looking for consistency and production. And Allen gives us certain things, and we need that consistency from him as well.
You mentioned the late game situations. You mentioned the intensity. See, those two go hand in hand, and what needs to change to avoid the similar late game situation as the UNLV game? Yeah,
I mean, I think you look back to last year, and those were things that not blocking out, not executing, a press breaker or whatever that situation may be, and we're going to spend, especially with a young team who's not been through it, we're going to spend a lot more time doing those things, and that's all I know. I mean, you should want those situations as a player. You should relish the opportunity to somebody press you or want to foul you, or the rules are set in place today where it makes it very hard to trap because of the cylinder, and yet. You still got to block out. You've still got to do those things that are winning plays, and we've got to keep bringing attention to them, and we'll keep trying to get better at them.
Brad, matchup last week, Samba was a better matchup you felt for their bigs down low. Is Adonis a better matchup this week, or are they going to see equal time? What's the idea there? Yeah,
a little bit will be based on who they have in the game. Their starter is probably not as athletic as their backup, and they get small at times, which is something that they will do. They'll play big, they'll play small, but when they go with Rodriguez at the 5, they have a tendency to play 4 guards and get a little smaller. That makes it more challenging for Adonis from the mobility standpoint, but there are lineups he can play in. So we'll get a feel for how the game goes and make some of those decisions at that time.
Coach, you guys played zone for the last 5 possessions last Saturday. When you've broken it down, whether it be man, zone, full court, what have you noticed about what those different looks give you?
Well, one of the reasons zone late game was to try to keep the ball out of the paint, and not get put ourselves in a situation where they were just going to drive it. We knew Amari was a hardy kid, was going to drive it and try to get to the rim. He actually did once, but again, I think the one thing that I've always been situational with especially my zone defense. I've always played a zone when I'm playing the clock more than the opponent. I still like doing that. We've had a good amount of time this week working on zone, just trying to get better at it, and know that those situations are going to arise and we're going to need it. So, it's finding the right mix and finding the right combination and trying to avoid foul trouble and trying to avoid teams going on big runs. Those are things that will force my hand a little bit either way.
After a slow start to the season, this last 3-game stretch for Kip has been rather productive, 14 points per game. Have you seen something different about him lately that's helped him out, maybe just getting more adjusted to the team on the court?
Yeah, I think he's become a little more comfortable in his roles. I think he understands we're trying to get him shots when he's in the game. I think he's trying really, really hard on the defensive end. I think that's and maybe not worried as much about his scoring and just let it come naturally. I personally, we need him to rebound more. We haven't seen that rebounding tenacity that we saw at times in the past from him. But yeah, I think he's just he's starting to identify what his role is and know where his opportunities are coming, and I like having him in certain situations, run a lot of sets to him.
Brad, is there an updated status on Tevian Jones?
Will not play.
How's his progress? What are you seeing from him?
Yeah, he's been good. He's been working hard every day, and I think one of the biggest challenges we've identified, and again, we've got Fletch, who's terrific, is that when you don't play, sometimes you lose conditioning and those sort of things, and he's staying very focused on that, and he's getting a lot of workouts in, which is positive on the basketball side, and when the time is right, we'll expect him back.
Through this first stretch of games, what have you liked that you've seen from Io, and what are maybe you looking for a little more from him?
Well, I don't know how you could ask much more. I think he's been. If there's a downside, it's just his inconsistency, but that's to be expected. I think we've seen the positive things. He's had some very, very productive nights. I think he's proven he's a good shooter. And I think the biggest challenge as it is for any new guys at the defensive end. Everybody worries about offense and where they get theirs, and every player I've ever coached has had a night where they score in single digits or the ball didn't go in. I think he's got to continually grow defensively, but he's getting better every day. Help side defense and seeing both man and ball and doing those things. Once that clicks for him, he'll find out that there's 2 or 3 or 4 easy baskets for him in transition every game, and then I think he's continually getting better. He's an elite passer. I think he's starting to get a feel for what we're doing offensively in both ball screens and in our spread, and I feel really, really good about his progress.
Along those lines, Brad, Trent Frazier in his sophomore year, what strides have you seen? What challenges he now face, now known as the guy? He's now got expectations. What have you seen from 10 games?
Well, he's by far and away been a much, much improved player defensively. Gosh, he leads us in charges taken. He leads us in dives on the floor for loose balls. He's our best denial guy. He's gotten better on the ball. And he's a guy that does all those things because he wants to be that guy. He wants to be the guy that is a really, really good player and makes his teammates better. I think he's had to adjust a little bit to, maybe being at the top of the scouting report and knowing that everybody's trying to stop him. And now, where do I spray it? Where do I pass it? What are the looks? And trusting that process and trusting that, okay, I get it in the paint and I don't have a layup, where do I have to put it? Those are the areas he's got to continually work on, and he's doing that. Trent's very, very conscientious. He wants to be really good. He wants to please. He wants to be a great teammate, and I think he's. We all know he's capable of getting 30 every night, and I think he's trying to figure out how to help his team win, and whatever that means, whether it's getting 30 or whether it's having to share the ball and have a big assist night.
So Georgie's favorite NBA player is Nikola Jokic, so much so that he has the same number as him for that reason. What do you think of that? Just kind of person for Georgie to kind of strive for his game to be like.
That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. Yeah, he's arguably one of the top 5 guys in the NBA right now, and Georgie's got a lot of those skill sets. I think that one of my challenges as a coach is watching and allowing Georgie to expand his game. The one thing we haven't seen with Georgie is his dribble drive game. I mean, he's really good at it. He sometimes get his numbers don't show his true passing ability. He's a good passer. He's got a lot of the same characteristics, and yet he's got to figure out this level and what he can do and what he can't do at this level. If he rebounds like Nikola, will be in great shape, and that's the challenge we're working with him now on. But Georgie's got a vast skill set and can do a lot of things, and he's going to give me some luxuries here as we move forward.
Kip said he's always talking about him. Have you kind of noticed that too? How he's always trying to tell other people how he's trying to be like him?
I get lost in everything Georgie says. I mean, Georgie never shuts up, and half the time you just try to. I've heard him talk about him, so I'm just kidding. We all know Georgie's, the Energizer Bunny when it comes to voice box, but yeah, that's a great model for him to have.
The way you guys have forced turnovers, does that mask any maybe growing pains, in terms of second, help defense or anything like that? Does it kind of alleviate some of that?
I don't know if I ever look at it that way. I look at, sometimes one of my worst traits as a coach is I look the glass is half full or half empty. I see it half empty most of the time, especially on the defensive side. So I look at our shortcomings. I guess I haven't really looked at it as I take for granted we're going to turn some people over. And yet one of the things that I am disappointed in with our team is like our charges. Our charges have not those numbers. That's a way to protect the rim. It's one of the most demoralizing plays in basketball for the other team. Coach gets mad. It's a personal foul. It's a turnover, and yet we practice those and we talk about those, and we're not doing some of those things because of our help side. So I have a tendency to worry about those more than forcing turnovers. I know we're going to force some, but. Yeah, we've got to continually get better on our team defensive concepts.
Coach, knowing the opponent and how they play, and also having a long week of practice mixed in with finals, it's another one of those toughness games.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always felt like once you approach finals, you get guys that they do stuff differently during finals. They may have to stay up till 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning studying. They may have multiple papers. I think today we had one young man that has 3 finals, has 3 tests today. And, that's, you don't ever have that. So there becomes a mental grind that guys have to go through. We have, we had a couple guys that have to leave practice today because of finals. We've got a couple guys with finals tomorrow night. So you've got a different routine, but absolutely knowing that the opponent is coming in to try to take something away from you, you better be ready, dialed in, and focused. And I hope it's a good reprieve, for our guys.
Brad, I know, I know you haven't been pleased with the amount of times you've been going to the free throw line in the last couple games. Has that changed a little bit?
Yeah, we're getting there. We got to figure out the identity offensively, and they're making simple basketball plays. You know, and I give the example the other night in the UNLV game. Kipper's wide open in the corner. Kipper's a 44% 3-point shooter, and I want him shooting the ball every time he shoots one in rhythm, and yet he's trying to do what we ask, and that's, you know, drive the ball and be more aggressive, and those are the basketball plays that we have to find the comfort with and do the right thing. I always want Kipper shooting that three, and yet our guys are really working hard to try to be more aggressive, get the ball in the paint. I thought Andres Feliz was unbelievable in the Vegas game at doing that and made the right kicks, and you know, those are things that we have multiple guys who can do that.
Along those same lines, Brad, Trent, balancing aggression, we know he can go get a bucket with creating for others. How have you seen him do that with more options, more lead guards with him around?
Yeah, I think it's just him feeling comfortable with Trent sees the floor. He's also very good at seeing the rim. And I think the one thing he's got to figure out is, you know, okay, you know, where those guys are at in the corner. You know, we try to keep the floor spaced, and he's got to make those passes. You know, he threw a couple bad passes the other night that kind of fumbled or slipped through his hands, and you know, that's not Trent being comfortable doing that. But you know, same thing with Io, same thing with, you know, we've got to drive the ball knowing that we shoot the heck out of it. And we're a good shooting team, and we can make shots, and yet we're still trying to find that balance.